Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Sebastian on the show who's selling a SaaS business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Sebastian, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hello Lauren, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show. Really happy to have you here. Looking forward to learning more about your business. It certainly sounds like a very interesting one. But before we dive in, I'm going to give the listeners a brief summary of the business so they have a better idea of what we're talking about. As I mentioned, this is a SaaS business. It was created in November 2015, and it's in the business niche. The average revenue for the business is $6,697 per month, and it makes an average of $6,540 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are a primary domain, including all site content and files, 3 additional domains, an AWS account, a vendor account, and an email list with 2,500 subscribers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64518 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that we know more about the business, let's hear from the seller. Sebastian, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yes, sure. I've been working on these SaaS projects since the end of 2015. It was a side project. I still had a job as project manager when I tried Jira for the first time. And I found it very powerful compared to what we use in my company to manage teams and tasks, basically with a few Excel sheets. So the product was fantastic, but some expected features for a project management tool were missing. But hopefully Atlassian has probably one of the most advanced B2B plugins marketplace to extend basic features. So I explored the marketplace and I found very interesting plugin, but still regarding to my personal needs, some features were missing. So I decided to take that opportunity to build and sell my first plugin.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you were able to identify that gap in the market. So did you code all of the software yourself?
Yes, I did it all by myself.
Yeah, fantastic.
I have a technical background, so that's the reason why I was able to do the code from one side. And as a project manager, I also had the business skills to understand what mattered most for the customers.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. So the business includes 2 different apps. Were they both launched at the same time, or did you start off with the one and then add the other one at a later stage?
Yeah, I first launched a first app and I managed it for a couple of months, maybe a year like that, make it grow. And then I started to build other apps. And some of them were working and some of them not. So I archived them and I keep the other one growing.
Yeah, I think that's great that you were able to find success with 2 different apps. That's wonderful. It certainly sounds like you got a lot of passion for this business. What are the reasons that you decided to sell the business now?
I think it's a very strong and persistent business, but I've been working on that project for about 7 years now. So today I would like to explore other business opportunities.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. 7 years is a very long time. Looking back over your journey with this business, I'm sure there's been a lot of twists and turns. What would you say was your biggest win or success since starting the business?
I would say probably one of my best achievements was to reach 100K total sales last year. So I became Atlassian Silver Partner, and I was very proud to achieve that milestone alone. So with that program, you have access to free product licenses, dedicated technical supports, and core marketing opportunities that the future buyer can use to expand the business later on.
Yeah, it's great that you were able to unlock those features, and it's a great asset for the new buyer, as you said. Were there any setbacks or challenges that you experienced with the business?
Well, sure, but like I said, in total, I delivered 7 apps, and 4 of them were not successful. And now I have 2 apps, and I sold a third app earlier this year. So I'm okay with that. It is part of the game. It's useful to test the market. You always have something to learn. Sometimes it's technical, and sometimes suddenly it gives you an idea to create something else. So yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, it's true. You're not going to hit a home run on every app, but I think you had a pretty good success rate there. In terms of traffic, how do customers discover your products?
Through the Atlassian Marketplace. So I work on the plugins, home pages in the Atlassian Marketplace to improve images and text. But that's pretty much that I did here. So there is probably some interesting improvement to do in terms of marketing for the future buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that now that you've reached those 100,000 sales on the Atlassian Marketplace, it unlocked new features. Does that include driving more traffic to your products?
We never know, but for sure the SEO is useful. And I think that the Atlassian algorithm display your app depending on the number of total downloads and sales. If you are a gold partner, silver partner also matter, the number of reviews. So that's a set of rules that is used by the algorithm, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've also got an email list with 2,500 subscribers. Do you do any marketing to that list?
Not really. I always focus on the development side and not so much on the marketing side. So that's really something for the future buyer. I think it's an opportunity to grow, is doing more marketing.
Well, on that note, what do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
Investing in marketing for sure. Then I see maybe another way to grow is by applying for financing and support from the Atlassian Ventures. So Atlassian created a venture and you can apply and then you can receive mentoring from expert of Atlassian and you can also be involved in co-marketing with Atlassian. So that's maybe something interesting for the future buyer to look into. And I think also that the business can be a good code base to maybe create more features and more apps. So that's also an opportunity because I think in the marketplace today, there is still many opportunities to create new features. So having a silver partner account with already 2 apps and mailing lists is a good way to start a business on the Atlassian marketplace as well.
Yeah, certainly. I think the niche that you're in is definitely growing. So, as you say, there's lots of room for expansion of products there. Let's take a look at your app now. What is your current customer churn rate for subscribers?
It varies around from 2% to 7%. It depends really on each month. And the average monthly subscription leg is about 12 months for a monthly subscription and 2.5 years for an annual subscription.
Okay, wonderful. And what is your current customer acquisition cost?
I don't pay for acquiring customers. It's fully organic and it's coming mainly from the Atlassian marketplace.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely a good selling point there. Do you upsell the subscriptions at all? Sort of discounts for the annual over the monthly subscriptions?
Everything is managed by Atlassian itself. They are taking a fee from 15% to 30%. 15% is for the cloud version and 30% for the on-premise version. And everything is managed by Atlassian. So for an annual discount, I think they have 2 months free, something like that. But it's pretty simple because at the end, everything is managed by Atlassian and you receive a remittance with everything with fee deducted, tax paid, and so on. So it's pretty easy to manage the payroll.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what does the typical customer for this business look like? Who's your target market?
Project management is universal. So I have every kind of customer from a very small startup to multinationals.
Yeah, that's great. It's a big target base then, which is always fantastic. So, you mentioned that you've done all the work on this product yourself. You don't have any employees. What does a typical work week look like for you when running this business?
It depends if I decide to implement a new feature. At this point, it's code time, so I can spend a couple of days developing new features. I try to keep the development as small as possible to reduce complexity. So usually when I implement a new features, it's 5 day maximum. If it's more, I try to split the features in several parts. But except if I create a new feature, it could be just customer support, reply to customers, they have functional question, and it could be from 0 to 1 or 2 hours a week. Yeah, it could be pretty quiet because the apps are pretty simple to manage. So yeah, it's more or less the typical week running the business.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like it's quite a passive business that doesn't occupy too much of your time.
Yeah, if you don't decide to create new features, it's more like a passive business. In the last, I would say, 3 to 6 months, really spent a minimum of time on this. Like I said, maybe an hour a week and no bugs. It's pretty simple to manage.
Are there any technical skills that the new buyer would need in order to maintain the business?
The stack contains like a few technologies, but it's not rocket science. It's HTML, it's JavaScript, Node.js, MySQL. It's the basic web component to build an application today. There is an on-premise version for one of the app, which requires more advanced knowledge with Java. Hopefully, most of the customers are moving to cloud. And so there is no more feature development on that side, just maintenance and version upgrade. But I think that the future buyer can also outsource the maintenance of these two apps if it doesn't have the technical skills.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Outsourcing will definitely help there. What do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer taking over this business?
Probably the technical side, if the buyer wants to manage everything by himself. That's maybe the biggest challenge because, as I said, a part of that, it could be pretty passive business income. That's the point. But then if the buyer is ambitious and they want to make the business growing and so on, then it's a typical challenge to create and innovate, I would say.
Yeah, certainly. How much support are you willing to offer the buyers to help them navigate this challenge?
I can provide the 30 days of email and phone call support to help the new owner dealing with technical knowledge transfer and customer request. And then if the buyer requests more, we can always talk.
Fantastic. I think that'll be a huge help. When it comes down to actually negotiating the deal, would you be open to something like an earn-out agreement?
I would prefer cash upfront, but then we can discuss. But I would prefer cash upfront to simplify the close of the business.
Sure, yeah. And would you commit to a non-compete?
Yes, sure.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Sebastian, that leads us into the final question of the interview. If you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
I think this is a pretty strong and persistent business running for about 7 years now, with a nice growing trend and low cost of maintenance. So for buyer, keeping the business as is should increase the revenue over time anyway. But I think also there is more potential to extend this business and make much more money. Like I said, by investing in marketing, which I didn't because I was mainly focused on development, or by applying for financing and support from the Atlassian Ventures. Yes, I think it's a pretty good business that can be a good code base to create more features and more apps in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like there's definitely a lot of potential to take advantage of. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners before we finish up?
I think I'm done. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Sebastian, for coming on and giving us a little bit more insight into you and your business. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64518. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.